begin my presentation, I just wanted to tell you all a little bit about what I wanted out of that. So, first of all, I've always loved games that move me. The game, I look back at why I love video games, and it was in Final Fantasy VII when Sephiroth drops 10 feet and kills Eris. I almost yes, well, sorry. King Kong dies at the end of the movie, too. But anyway, the point is, of course, we love epic things, but we also love feeling. And I think our desire for epic things really comes from their ability to make us feel things. The other thing is I wanted to do something noteworthy. I wanted to do something where people look at it and they're like, wow, that's pretty cool that you did that. It's kind of what Tom Carbone said, it's pretty cool. I wanted to make it relevant to the world today. Because I'm sure you can ask a lot of people like Rick Hall. He'll say, fiction doesn't matter, story doesn't matter. I disagree. But how can we take the things that I love about games, that all of us love about games, and make it relevant to the world today? So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as I go through this. The result was Plushy night. Yeah. Now, we just saw Pantheon. The war of the worlds, gods, battling, action, you know. You love it, it just gets the testosterone going. I'm going to take you in the complete opposite direction right now. That's a line of night. But no, I want you to all remember the worst thing that has ever happened to you and how it affected you emotionally. And you all don't have to share that, but I'm going to help get it started. In spring of 2009, in 1 month's time, I was about 2 weeks away from going to London for a management consultant job, and I got laid off. Found out my girlfriend was cheating on me with my best friend, and I had to move back to Montana to live with my dad because I had no money. Shitty mom. So just keep that feet on the back of your head. We have Gemma. She is the main character of our story. She had a wonderful life, wonderful little girl, well, middle-aged adolescent girl. And everything in her life was going well for her. I'm sure we've all experienced times in our life like that. Until disaster. She lived in Japan, and she was a victim of the 2011 tsunami earthquake disaster. And to give you a little picture of the 3 days of horror she experienced, some screenshots of what occurred during that event. No, that's sad, it's not funny. So what happened to Gemma is, when she finally made it out, she was at the hospital. She'd been separated from her parents, and she found out that they had died. She couldn't handle it, like all of us, we have our emotional problems, and she went into a coma. And that is where you start off the game, coma, her sanctuary. She is in a dream world, this is her sanctuary, and it contains everything that was good about her life, because she can't deal with the bad, she's given up, she's asleep. Until, enter Plushy Night, her stuffed animal. So basically what this is Plushy Night shows up. It was the teddy bear that her parents, her belated parents, had given her. And these windows you see here are all pathways to the fears that she experienced in those 3 days. So how the story goes is Plushy Night encourages her and motivates her in order to conquer her fears, to move on, deal with them, accept them, and wake up. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what stuffed animals and comfort objects are to us. As children, our parents give them to us, and right here's my mom, and to prove that, she's sitting right there. But our parents give us these objects, and it's like saying, I can't be there with you all the time, but you don't have to be afraid, because you have a piece of me with you. And mine was yellow Blunkies, and I was actually staying with my mother this summer, and I found those. And you look at those, and you just think of your parents. You can't destroy that attachment. And so in the world, Gemma needs to conquer her fears, but she needs help. And that's what Plushy Night, which is the surrogate of those feelings of when we get older, we don't need those objects anymore. We internalize those emotions. And that's what Plushy Night represents. And so now into gameplay. Plushy Night is a 3D action adventure. Think kind of a Kingdom Hearts style of navigating the world and how it looks. You can alternate control between both Gemma and Plushy Night. The non-player character is controlled by AI when you're not controlling them. And the idea is to coordinate Gemma and Plushy Knight's attacks for powerful combos. And the idea is Plushy Knight's kind of more of a tanking character, but he also attacks. Gemma's more of an offensive focused character, and they can both heal each other, which we'll get into a little bit later. The idea is to use Plushy Knight to get the hate aggro threat from the other monsters. And so Gemma can attack. And now, as Gemma attacks monsters that Plushy Knight is tanking, her fear level does not go up, which is like her HP. But her courage level does go up by smaller amounts. If she's attacking monsters that are not being held by Plushy Knight, her fear level goes up a lot faster, but also her courage does, because in a sense she's dealing with it on her own. And fear is equivalent to her HP. So you kind of need to balance the aggro, the fear when you attack in order to build the courage meter. And as courage goes up, you can do combined attacks between Plushy Knight and Gemma in order to do a lot more damage to enemies. And so when they do that, this is symbolic, and as you progress through the game and you conquer fears, you get stronger and can do more of these moves. Plushy Knight and Gemma will actually combine to be one character model and do these powerful attacks and then separate. And it looks like this. Oh, wait. This is not an escort game. This is not Resident Evil 4 when the president's daughter is running around and you much rather shoot her in the head than have to run around with her. AI controls the characters. Games that did it well was kind of the Gambit system for Final Fantasy XII. And you could control them, but Donald and Goofy in Kingdom Hearts. So I just want to make that clear. We're not escorting anybody. No escort is occurring. So another remember. If you can remember that thing you thought about, that was the hardest thing for you. Remember the people that helped you get through it. Remember your Plushy Knight. Remember your parents. Mine, I had my little kitten clubs, and my mother, my stepfather, my dad, my brother, my friends Brian, now that I'm Anyway, to art style. The art style for the game is we're dealing with the tsunami, the earthquake element. That disaster is a Tetsuya Nomura character style. It's a Japanese art style. Now, as you play through the game, we're not going to come out at the beginning and be like, it was the tsunami. Through the environments and the character art, we're going to basically allude to the fact that this occurred. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit more. Themes, fear, conquering our fears. Think about those awful things that occurred to you and what the hardest part of it was. It's the concept of you're afraid. What's going to stop it from happening again? It's going to cause you to fight, and you want to avoid it. And you can't really move on from those things until you engage them. So the main theme of what you're fighting through the games are monsters that constitute different kinds of fears that an event like that would bring back up in your mind. Fears of darkness, fears of rejection, fear of strangers, fears of what's going to prevent this from happening again. Some artwork of an idea of what some of the monsters will look like that Drew did for me. Environment's a very, very important part of the game. Now, we're trying to subtly convey the disaster. And so you see here, it's supposed to be a tsunami, but it's made of earth, and clearly there was an earthquake. And so basically, you're communicating what happened in the events through artwork. You're communicating emotional feelings through these environments. So here's another scene. You have a landscape. You have solar systems in the sky. Here's a cyclone from the tsunami. And then apply that and think about those solar systems in the sky. They look very similar to that cyclone. And so subtle references get powerful messages. So in an environment in the game, you may see up here in the sky, you might see little boats kind of swirling down into it to reference that event from the disaster. This is just one example of how the environmental themes will play out. Again, remember, after those events, those people have helped you since then, remember all of the good things that have happened to you. So like, when I was in Montana, we had a little stray cat that gave birth to kittens, so I got to take care of those. Aww. I got accepted at FIEA. I made friends. Think about what if you'd given up. Think about the worst things that have happened to you and how they made you feel. And think about what you'd be missing out on in life if you had just stopped, like Gemma has. If you had gone into a world that isn't real, but protects you from those fears. You need to conquer those fears alone. I can already tell you how this game is going to end, and I don't really care if I spoil it for you. At the end of the game, when Gemma enters her last fear, just as her parents died, Plushy Knight's going to die. She's going to have to pick up that sword and shield, and she's going to have to face her final fear alone. She's going to win. Waking up. After that, she is going to wake up. She has internalized that part of herself that her stuffed animal was. She is now whole again, and she's going to wake up from her hospital bed. She's going to return home to her house, her ruined house, and she's going to start picking it up. And that's how the game's going to end. Because that's kind of what we all do. Nothing can really rewind what's happened to you, but there's always something that you can do now. And it's not as perfect as it was, it's not the same, but it's a start. It's about what you can do. So epic games, I want to touch on this. Pantheon, you're the gods. You know, Shades of Grey, very epic. You're using your shadows, you're doing really cool shit. You've got Junction, you're controlling reality with what you see and fighting. Skymen, you're flying through the air at high speeds in orbital combat. Corporate Defense, you're controlling giant mechs and shooting things. You haven't seen this one yet? Battle Fortress Tortoise. Woo! I don't even need to explain what it is. It's a battle. These things are very epic. But so, how's a stuffed bear epic? It's emotionally epic. And what I mean by that is, as humans, we love these very epic battles. But in reality, whether it's a gift or a curse, the majority of our epic battles are emotional. There's things that we have to deal with, things we have to cope with. That when we overcome them, we're more powerful, and we can move on, create a happy situation for ourselves, and use those experiences to help other people. A little bit about platforms. The plan for this game is it will be free to play online through web browsers, iOS, and/or mobile devices. And I should say and/or between every one of those, because the engine of the platform has not yet been decided. Potential engines is the Havoc Vision engine, and I said platforms from there. Unreal Development Kit, Unity Pro, LOL, and Sunburn engine. Sure, I'll get questions on that. Okay. Now, the kicker for the game is the reason why it'll be free to play, and the reason why we want wide distribution, is because when you complete the game, and that'll be planned out maybe before the game, but after you experience that intense emotional moment, when Gemma wakes up, you've conquered fear, you'll have the opportunity to, through the platforms that the game will be on, to donate to disaster relief. And so it's taking an epic game, it's taking something that has an epic storyline that means something to you, and it's making it very relevant. It's giving you the opportunity to take that, turn around, and do good. So think about what you can do, which I touched on earlier, but we have these horrible things that happen in our lives. We get up again, we continue. What's to guarantee that they won't happen again? Nothing. You just have to get up again. And that's what the theme of the game is about. Relevance. So in terms of art, this game seems amazing to me, because you have good artists that can make things that look awesome. And then you have great artists that can take things, make them look awesome, but communicate a feeling to somebody in an environment and in a character. And that's a really powerful thing. In terms of everyone else in the game, in terms of level design, you'd be working really close with the environment artists to help run that feeling through. Programmers, you get AI, you get the graphics, you get to work with those engines, you get to export this game online. And at the end of the day, you're taking your skills, the things you've worked on, and you're using them for something truly good. And for me, that's something that's truly noteworthy. It establishes relevance for some of the things that we really love about games. And it's very, very truly epic.